Literature Focus Units, a photo story created by Denise Snow for Liberty University, course EDUC 632. During this photo story, you'll learn the parts of a literature focus unit, the steps necessary to effectively develop a unit in your classroom, and then we'll take a look at a few examples of books and activities that you can implement in your focus unit. A literature focus unit is a unit plan based around a high-quality book that incorporates lessons on language arts skills and strategies. A literature focus unit has four main components: reading, responding, mini lessons, and projects. We're going to look at each one of these in more detail. During a focus unit, the teacher can implement several different reading strategies for her students. She can read aloud to them as they follow along. Students can read together in pairs, or they can read individually. Focus units can be used for virtually any grade level. These are two examples of books that can be used for different age groups. A literature focus unit offers an excellent opportunity for students to utilize the reading process. Before they even begin, they'll talk about predictions that they have or discuss any background knowledge that they're bringing to the table. In addition to reading, they'll be responding and exploring through mini lessons and then applying what they've learned. After students have completed the assigned reading for the day, they'll have different opportunities to respond to what they've read. Reading logs, response journals, and grand conversations are just a few of the means that students can use. A response log allows the teacher to keep track of the student's progress in his reading. Response logs are beneficial to the student as well, as it teaches him to be accountable for what is expected of him. Grand conversations allow students to discuss their feelings about the book in a more relaxed manner. These conversations are generally student-centered, though the teacher can occasionally participate and guide the students in their discussion if necessary. Response journals give the students the opportunity to respond to the reading in a more private manner. Mini lessons are a very important part of a literature focus unit. These short lessons can be about virtually anything that can be logically connected to the reading. For example, teachers can connect the literature to instruction with lessons on critical listening, journal writing, letter writing, making predictions, affixes, context clues, grammar, sequence, note-taking. And these are just a few of the many examples. The final component of a literature focus unit is the project phase. Projects are a means by which the teacher can assess what the student has learned. Students can apply what they've learned in a variety of methods, including through projects related to research, writing, and art. We've talked about the components of a literature focus unit, but now we're going to look at the steps that are necessary to create an organized unit that flows well in your classroom. A literature focus unit has 8 steps. Selecting the piece of literature. Developing a plan for the unit. Identifying which strategies and skills are going to be taught. Determining how to incorporate technology. Developing and incorporating activities that represent all 6 of the language arts. Coordinating activities that allow time for individual work and work with a partner, work in small groups, and as a whole class. Creating an organized time schedule, and making a plan for how the students will be assessed. We're going to look more closely at each of these steps. The first step is to select the featured book, which should be a high-quality piece of literature. For younger readers, the choice could be a story from a picture book. For older students, the book could be a chapter book or a story from a Basil reader. The Very Hungry Caterpillar and If You Give a Mouse a Cookie are 2 examples of books that could be used for younger children. Charlotte's Web and Fahrenheit 451 are 2 examples of high-quality chapter books for older students. The second step is to develop a unit plan. When developing the unit plan, the teacher first decides what the focus of the unit should be. Examples are focusing on the story structure, the setting, or the genre. After the teacher determines the focus of the unit, She must decide which language arts strategies and skills will be incorporated. Many lessons allow for strategies on various topics, including predicting, organizing ideas, figuring out unknown words, and summarizing. It's important for teachers to integrate technology into the unit. Some examples include allowing the students to read from an e-reader, listening to books on tape, using the computer during activities or games, or using YouTube clips in the mini lessons. Literature focus units offer excellent opportunities for students to practice their skills in listening, talking, reading, writing, viewing, and visually representing. While not all of them may be covered, most should be included in a focus unit. When planning the literature unit, teachers need to think about how they're going to incorporate group activities. During the unit, students should work together as a class, in small groups, in pairs, and as individuals. Teachers should vary the grouping patterns during the different activities of the unit. It's important to not rush through a literature focus unit. It's meant to be an in-depth study, so teachers need to be sure to allow time for the students to move through the 5 stages of the reading process, and then to do the activities that accompany the different lessons. Large blocks of time are required, usually at least 2 hours. The last step in creating a literature focus unit is determining how to assess the student's learning. Often, projects are given at the end of a unit to allow the student to apply what he has learned. Unit folders are a way for a student to keep all the materials he has created during the unit. They are often accompanied by an activity checklist for the student to use to monitor whether he has turned in all of the required activities for the unit. This is an example of what could be used as a mini lesson. During a literature focus unit on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the teacher could show a clip from YouTube from the movie. Afterwards, the students could create Venn diagrams to compare and contrast the movie and what they've read in their book in class. An open mind portrait is a good way for a teacher to assess whether a student understands a character's traits. The student chooses a character from the book, draws a portrait of the character using this template, and then on a second sheet, puts descriptions of the character. When you lift up the face, you'll see the second face with the words to describe the character. As you can see, there are many advantages to a literature focus unit. They utilize the reading process. They allow teachers to scaffold fluent reading. Many lessons offer opportunities for teachers to connect the literature across the curriculum. When students read together during the reading process, it fosters collaboration and shows them how helpful it can be to work with a partner. Response logs and journaling foster writing skills. Overall, focus units develop skills in all areas of language arts. And while there are many strengths, because the entire class is reading the same book, there will be a couple of students not interested in the subject matter. This is why it's so important to choose a high-quality book. Along those same lines, because everyone is reading the same book, the book is going to be above a few of your students' reading levels. Shared and paired reading are 2 great ways to help in this area. Lastly, focus units tend to be teacher-directed. While this is true, it is easy to incorporate student-centered activities in the unit, like grand conversations. I hope you've enjoyed my presentation and feel confident in your abilities to design and implement a literature focus unit in your classroom.